Welcome to the Marketing Intern Spotlight. A marketing intern is a listener who's spreading our message authentically. Hear their story, their passion, and their journey. Enjoy.
Io, welcome to the Backpocket podcast. How you doing today?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, dude. Oh, man. So, tough night for you last night. Did you actually get 8 hours? Or?
I can see. I think I got like 6 or so.
Okay.
Do you track your sleep?
I do actually.
Nice.
What are you averaging typically?
Like 7-ish.
Yeah, same with us. You got to get those 8, though. It's so hard.
It's tough, though. It's super tough. You got to go to bed like pretty early to get those 8. So.
And then sometimes like the apps don't count like right when you fall asleep. So then you're just like, damn,
Right.
like I did go to bed at 11:30 and I woke up at 7:30. Give me the 8.
Right.
Oh man, but let's tap into Io, a little bit of backstory. We got to meet you at St. Thomas. I got to meet you a little bit prior to that in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But a background of you and kind of give our marketing interns a little bit of a bio.
Yeah. So I mean, I was born in Nigeria actually.
Whoa.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. You couldn't tell by my accent because I don't really have one.
Right.
And then moved to Chicago when I was 1. Grew up in Chicago. Spent 18 years there. Ended up coming to St. Thomas as a football player. Played 3 years. And I don't like to have regrets, but one of my regrets was not finishing my time as a football player at St. Thomas. You know, I guess I haven't really told the story, but I kind of like struggled a lot with like mental health and like anxiety and a bunch of like different issues. I just really was like, I wasn't entirely sure who I was, and so like I was kind of like all over the place, and so ended up making that decision, stopped playing football.
This was your sophomore?
I stopped playing after my junior year.
After your junior year.
But I mean, I went through like a litany of injuries. So I messed up my knee, so I tore my PCL, separated my shoulder twice actually, and it was just a lot. Like it was tough, especially being away from home, like not seeing your family and all that. So yeah. Studied marketing at St. Thomas. And yeah, it really wasn't like, so my family, like we're like in Nigerian culture, like education is taken very seriously. So like, you know, your parents are like really pushing education. I never, like in high school, especially, I was never like a very serious student. Like I was the complete opposite of my sister and like my parents. My sister went to University of Chicago, which is like top 5 school. And then she ended up going to Michigan Law School. And
she's crushing it.
Yeah, she was just killing shit and like making me look like shit. Like it was like like if you saw my sister and you saw me, you're like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like what's going on?
Is it older sister?
Older sister.
Okay,
yeah.
so she's like paving the road.
Yeah,
and it's like,
and
Io, where are you at?
Yeah, exactly. So she's currently a lawyer in New York right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She's crushing it.
Yeah, she's crushing it.
Bags.
I hate her. No, I love her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like really like I always knew I had the potential to like do great things. I'm not like a dumb guy by any means. I just never fully applied myself. And I think a lot of that, like a lot of my like complacency and my lack of motivation contributed to like all of the stuff I was dealing with inside of my head. Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah. So fast forward a couple years after graduation. Well, before that, let me preface this. I got a job at Star Tribune interning my senior year. So I worked for them for like a year, and then they ended up bringing me on full time. And I'm still currently with them right now. And so now, well, actually, let's flash back like 5 or 6 months ago. I had just gotten out of like a very serious relationship, and
Same.
yeah.
By the way.
It was great at the time, and then, you know, we broke up, and it was like a really, really dark moment for me, because I felt like I put a lot of my like happiness into that relationship. Like a lot of my happiness was dependent on that relationship. So when that like stopped working for me, like
Gets cut off completely.
yeah, it was like very dark moment for me. And I think a lot of guys do this, like when a girl doesn't feel good about you, like you don't feel good about yourself. And that was kind of like the situation I was in. So like after that, I was like, all right, man, like you got to like figure this shit out. Like you got to figure out something. Like you're not like, you can either go one way, like you can like continue going down this path, or you can like become the person that you are like supposed to be and that you want to be. And I don't know what happened or like what got into me, but one day I was just sitting at work and I was just like really going through it, and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna run a fucking marathon. Like, I'm gonna like do something that's like completely outside of my character. Like, if you knew me, like, I was always a pretty athletic guy, but I was fucking lazy. Like, I like hated running. I like hated, like, if you ask any of my friends, they're like, I could never see you running a marathon. I'd be like, it's crazy to me that you're the guy that's running marathons.
26.2 miles.
26.2 miles.
A lot of miles.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, like I was, something just got into me. I'm like, I'm gonna do something that's really like gonna challenge me, and like it's gonna be like transformative. So just one, like, out of the blue, like no particular reason. I think maybe I was watching like Joe Rogan's podcast with I think it was David Goggins, and I kind of got like fired up.
Yep.
So that's like kind of a catalyst to me like deciding to get into it. But it's not the entire reason. I really just wanted some sort of like transformation, and not simply physical, but like also just some sort of like mental transformation where I like would be ultimately become proud of myself and like proud of the person that I'm becoming. So yeah, I signed up for it. I signed up in June, I think, like mid-June. The race was in October, which is not very smart. I don't recommend doing that. Like, you should give yourself like a solid like 5 or 6 months to like build up.
Yeah, you had 2.5, maybe 3.
Yeah, maybe 3. And I really didn't get into the training until like July. That's when I really started like taking it seriously.
What was the progression like? You running 3-4 miles a day, or did you start with like half mile and then go from there?
So I mean, I was pretty much sedentary prior to that, so like I wasn't running at all. Like, I was pretty fucking
just couched. You were couched.
Couch to marathon. Like, that's how we were doing it.
That's great.
And so like going from that, like, it's tough. Like, I like after not playing football, like, you kind of get like burnt out a little bit, and you're like, I don't want to do anything like physical. Like, I'm kind of good. But you don't realize that kind of like, you know, staying physically active like contributes to like your mental health as well.
Yes.
So yeah, like I started training. Like, it was tough, but ultimately, we got there. We finished the race, and now here I am running 60-mile weeks every week.
Wow, it's gotta be nice that the sun's out now. Do you run around Lake of the Isles and like Lake Calhoun and all that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
60 miles a week.
60 miles a week.
What's that? 8 a day? 8? Or you kind of fluctuate?
So I try, like, it depends on the day. So there's some days where I run like 10 miles or so, but sometimes I'll like split it up and run like 7 and 5, or like, so I'll run twice a day sometimes.
Wow.
Just so it's not like as jarring on my body.
No way. We just had Andrea Toppin on our show, and she runs marathons, and she qualified for the Olympic trials.
I saw that. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that episode.
Yeah, you texted me. You're like, "Hey, where's that Andrea podcast?" I was like,
I was looking
released
for
yet.
it.
Yeah, hasn't been released yet.
Dropping in,
But when this podcast comes out, it's already out. So for those looking for it, it's out. But hold on, I want to ask one question about running.
Yep.
What was it like to run 10 miles for the first time when you were training?
10 miles for the first time.
Like, or just a significant mileage that you had never run before. What was that like?
I think the half marathon was like the big turning point for me.
Okay.
It was tough. I mean, my body just wasn't used to it. Like, I don't really know how to describe it. Like, a lot of it was just like mental fortitude and just like sticking with it. Like, I knew like going into it, like, okay, this is gonna suck. It's supposed to suck. And so like, I'm better off just embracing it rather than, trying to like fight it, or like, because I think people tend to think like when you train for something that like it's gonna make it easy. Like, when you're training for a marathon, just because you're training for something doesn't mean it's gonna be easy at any point. Like, it's supposed to be hard. So like, that was kind of like my mindset going into it. Like, I knew it was supposed to be hard, and so I just like embraced it. And I'd already signed up and like paid like $200 for the race, so I'm like, there's no going back.
Got the investment.
Yeah,
yes.
like I gotta like just just suffer through it. But yeah, I mean, it was tough. It's just really hard. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, it's a lot on your body. Like,
mental fortitude was a great way to describe it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you can get.
Yeah, with that, so you had the running going on, and I remember talking around that same time that you were helping Moise out with some music production, back end video kind of side, or was it more of the music side?
It was more. Well, so a lot of people don't know this. So I actually put Moise in his first show. So like me, Mark Pumper, and Zeke Get Buckets. Shout out to Zeke Get Buckets.
Let's go, baby.
We put together a show like in 2016, I think.
Hear No Evil?
Hear No Evil, yeah. Rest in peace. Yeah, and so we like had him. We brought 2 artists from Chicago, and then I think like a local DJ. And so yeah, we kind of like gave Moise his first shot. And then I also, at the time, I was working at Urban Outfitters, and Urban Outfitters used to do like this music series. And so one of my friends was like kind of the curator for that series, and he was like, hey, do you know any like artists that would be interested in this? And I'm like, yeah, like one of my best friends is a musician, and so like I put him in that show as well. And I've kind of just been helping out like however I can, and I also like help out with like photography, not really like the video side, but like some of the visuals. Like he'll ask me for like advice on certain things, and like advice on like some of the sounds that he's going for. So yeah, I mean, we live together, so like we're always around each other. He's always like playing me stuff. So
would you consider yourself like more of the booking agent, like operation side for Moise, or where would you fit into kind of like helping him throughout his career?
I mean, at first, not like a booking agent, but like
a gateway opener.
Yeah, I guess you can put it that way.
Opportunity
just like,
provider.
Exactly. Like I was kind of just like a connector. If I saw something that like he could fit into, I would try to help him out in it any way I can. Cool. But now he's at the point where, and I don't know if I can even say this, but like he has like a manager, and like he's doing shows like across the country. So I'm not really helping with him with the booking side as much, just helping out like here and there.
And
okay.
I don't know if you know this or if you can answer this, but how is Moise received in his own backyard, like Minneapolis, St. Paul, versus when he goes to like Germany and England and all these other places? Like, is he more well received in these other places than he is here?
We were actually talking about this the other day. So like we were looking at some of the analytics on his Spotify, and it's crazy. Like I think one of the top places that listens to him is like, I want to say like Germany or like Paris or some weird. Minneapolis is actually, I don't even think Minneapolis is in the top 10 as far as like listenership. But with that being said, like anyone who's involved in the scene here like knows who he is. Like all of the top dogs here know who he is. So.
Yeah, because the reason I asked that is, you know, we did a podcast with Yam House, right? Do you know who they are?
Yeah.
So they like really tried to grow here with their music, and they have been like, and they're getting it huge, but they are, a lot of the people that listen to them are not even in the Twin Cities. Like they're in like Denver and San Fran, like people who appreciate that, like not pop, but more just kind of upbeat synth rock type stuff. And it's just, for some reason, it's just not, it doesn't vibe here as much. That's not like the sound that everyone appreciates. So it's really cool when they go like elsewhere around the Midwest, they're actually like selling out and doing it really well outside of Minneapolis.
Yeah, it's weird how like, especially now, music travels like across the globe. Like, and like now with like Spotify and like SoundCloud, where you can like see where your listeners are coming from, like you can literally book a tour based off of like your SoundCloud or like your Spotify stream. So like if you have like a high like viewership or listenership, if that's even a word, like in like Belgium or something, like you can be like, hey, like I'm gonna do a tour in here, and you know, you can just set it up based off that.
Yeah.
So
that's incredible. So you're helping out with Moise a little bit. He's still your roommate, correct?
Yep.
And you got this marathon just fire inside you, getting the 60 miles a week, freaking awesome.
Right.
And you're also working at the Star Tribune, so that internship turned on to a full-time job.
Right.
And how's that going? I remember talking to you a few months ago, and you're kind of hesitant about where you were at. I'm just kind of curious if because I don't know if you saw,
Andrew's
I was
checking in, dude.
I was on the news, I was at the dentist, and I was flipping through the Star Tribune flipping through somewhere, and your face popped up, and I was like, that's my guy.
Can I tell you a story about that photo? So a couple weeks ago, one of the guys in our marketing department comes up to me. He's like, first of all, I've never like really talked to this guy. I always see him in passing, but like we've never really like exchanged words. And he comes up to me and he's like, and I knew like what he wanted, like, cause I'd gotten the calendar invite in my email, like saying like, hey, like we want you guys to come in for like a photo shoot. And he comes up to me, he's like, hey, so we want like did you get my invite? Like we want like a couple different people from like different departments to like be in this photo shoot for like this program that we're doing. And in the back of my mind, I'm just like, you guys need a token black guy for this image, for this photo shoot, don't you?
Diversify.
Yeah, you guys need some diversity. That's what why don't you just come out and say it? Don't like beat around the bush. Just say what you need. And then I end up being like front and center of that image. They're like, hey, Io, why don't you like go ahead and like stand in the middle? I'm like, oh, okay.
You guys back up here. Yeah.
Just a sea of white men. They're like, hey, why don't you right here, Io, right in the middle?
Yeah,
that's nuts, dude.
And everyone has been commenting on it. It's hilarious. Yeah. But to answer your question, like, wait, when is this podcast coming out, by the way?
So we have...
Let's just do some live math right now.
Yeah, so we have Nasser dropping this week, and then Andrew dropping next week, then Sam, and then yourself. So a month.
1 month.
1 month would be...
Does someone want to pull up what 1 month from Tuesday
is that May? End of May?
Yeah, it's probably beginning of May.
Beginning of May?
Yep.
God, I don't want to speak on what I was gonna say.
Dang it.
Because its time frame kind of puts everything off.
Yeah. Well, like some major changes are coming. Let's just put it like that.
Ooh.
Wait, can't we talk about it then? Because
I
we
love
like
major
change.
changes.
We're all about growth and development.
If one of my coworkers ends up listening to this, like before, okay, I'm moving to Chicago.
Okay.
End of May, maybe mid-May.
Okay. So you're gonna have to give your 2 week at some point.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's gonna time out perfectly then.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
We're looking at like the 30th
Of.
April.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Well, I could get fired then, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'm moving back to Chicago just to be closer to like family, friends. And this has been something I've been thinking about for quite some time. And my time at Star Tribune has been great. I've definitely learned a lot, grown a lot, but it's just ultimately not something I'm looking to do long term. And
Cool.
you know, I've been thinking about making the move back home for quite some time. So
what are you thinking of?
Oh, I got 2 questions about Star Tribune real quick.
Okay, yeah, let's wrap that up.
First question is, when I'm on Twitter, I follow Star Tribune, and there's some cool articles that I want to read, but I can never read them because you have to pay to like actually read them.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me nuts. Why do you guys have I can read, you can't read New York Times and all that, and like I understand, like sometimes they give you 2 in the month and that's all you get. I was like, damn it. I was just curious why you don't open that up for everyone. Why do you have to restrict?
How many so I like, because I work there, I don't get that like paywall deal.
Mm-hmm.
But how many like reads you get?
I want to say it's 2 a month, same as like,
Same.
yeah, it's not a lot.
I mean, you gotta like, Star Tribune we're probably the #1 media company in Minnesota, and especially in this climate, like people value news, and especially here in this market, like I think a lot of people value like getting that sort of information. And ultimately it just comes down to money. Like you gotta like,
you
they
gotta
gotta
pay the
make
bills.
money.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And that kind of feeds into my second question of how is paper doing within the news realm? If this is such a news heavy market, is paper succeeding? Are they fading? Are they consistent?
okay, well, I would say like the actual physical paper, it's definitely not growing by any means, but compared to other, like as a whole, it's not doing well at all. Like it's definitely not doing well. But I would say here we are definitely punching above our weight in terms of like how many people still like value getting like the physical paper. Like I think our readership is on Sundays, it's like maybe 500K or so. It's still pretty
Yeah,
substantial,
a solid
amount.
number.
Yeah. But you know, people just, you can get information a lot quicker. But I think there is something to be said about getting your news from the paper, because it really like slows things down a lot for you. Like when you're just constantly getting like fed news like throughout the day, like sometimes you don't even like get the truth. So like sometimes it's nice to like, you know, wait a day to like get that information
To fully digest it, I would say.
Exactly. So
Yeah, we had one of our guests, Josh Letty, say he starts his day with a couple push-ups, and then he opens up the Star Tribune and he reads at least 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and that's how he starts his day, because it's exactly that. It slows himself down, calms him, he gets his information, and then he gets going.
wait, how old is that dude?
He's in his 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's their demographic typically of of Star Tribune's clients? It's probably not us, I would assume.
No, it's definitely not us. God, I don't know like exactly, so I don't want to like just throw out a random number, but I would say like probably people in their like 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So what I was gonna ask, great Star Tribune segment.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. But where do you want to go now? Like, what's your kind of your plan? What do you want to do in Chicago when you go back?
Well, I actually have an interview lined up. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I have an interview lined up for like 3 weeks from now. But long term, I want to be working for myself ultimately.
Cool.
So right now I'm like in the process of starting a brand that kind of integrates fitness and like the mental health side of things, and like mindfulness. So I'm like working with a friend who's actually on his way to become a mindfulness teacher. And he just came back from like a retreat. So I'm like trying to get him like involved, and I'm working with an artist on like some logo designs, and stuff like that. So long term, I definitely want to be working for myself.
Have you started workshopping some names for the brand?
I have a name. Yeah.
You have a name.
Yeah.
Can we break news? Not yet? All right.
Not yet.
Off
But you
air,
guys,
off air.
but I promise you guys will be the off. We can do it off air.
Okay.
Yes, we can do that.
And we'll be the first to. We'll plug the hell out of
we'll
it.
plug it.
So
We'll blast that
And
out.
hype it.
yeah, I mean, I'm very passionate about like, especially now, like fitness and like what that can do for you, like how transformative that can be for you, especially like endurance-based events. I like to say that like I went from like running for me used to be like a form of punishment, and now it's like a form of prayer, if that makes any sense. Like you guys remember like in high school, like you guys all play football. Like in high school when your coach would be like, all right guys, like on the line, like, and that feeling that you'd get like knowing you have to like run like gassers or whatever,
Yep.
like just the worst feeling. And so I went from like feeling that running was like a chore, like a punishment, to like now it's my like time to like reflect and like be engaged and like be fully present. And like I literally say before every run, like I do like a minute of like a mindfulness exercise or like a minute like prayer, just to like, you know, express like my gratitude, like to be able to run, because like I get to do this. Like I don't have to, I get to, you know. So
I love that. I think without like where we're at in our lives, where a lot of it is voluntary, like we voluntarily do this podcast. We don't get paid for this. Isn't our job, but at the same time, we voluntarily go and work out every day. We can choose to be mindful and meditate and do all those things, and it's incredible that when you spend that time to do that, how much that actually helps yourself grow.
yeah.
Never would have thought that was like the case, honestly.
Going back to kind of the college years, I'm really curious, and if you can touch on as much as you like, but
Yeah.
with that mental health that you were mentioning and how you were struggling with some things, what was it that might have helped you kind of transform and find some like light, or did it not happen in college? It was more post that?
Yeah, it was definitely post, like like throughout college. I mean, and it's up and down. Like I wasn't always just like down during college, but like definitely some like rough stretches. But it was definitely post college where I kind of like was like, okay, like I need to like figure out who Io is, right? Like I can't continue like living the way I was in college, because like in college I was just like, you know, you go out, like you're drinking, like you're just, you know, you're not really like doing a whole lot, and I just kind of felt like very empty throughout my college experience. Yeah.
So it was kind of post college. And would you say like people around you kind of helped you, or was it
Looking inward and doing all the mindful activities. And
It was I would say it was completely just like some self-reflection, like looking in the mirror and be like, okay, who do I want to be, and like how do I get there? Like what is it going to look like getting to where I ultimately want to be, you know?
Okay.
Dope.
So with the company and the vision that you want to create, how do you want to manifest or input this mental health aspect into the fitness? Like, are you going to try and like coach people up on how to meditate and how that can transition into fitness, or like going from your own experiences, how's that all going to come together?
You just want me to give away the whole recipe right
well,
now?
I just really want to tap into this, because you listen to Rogan all the time, and you listen to all these like David Goggins, all these different people who have these insane mental like fortitude. They have insane
Going back to
mental
that word,
fortitude.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I love listening and diving in on people's minds and how they can overcome certain things. And like that's what a lot of our podcast is around, like what's in your back pocket. That's one mental thing that you use all the time to get over something that's hard.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely, so to answer your question, there definitely will be some sort of component of, you know, actually practicing like meditation, whether it be like 5 minutes or, you know, an hour. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to look like yet, but,
I guess what have you done with your own mental fortitude? Like how have you overcome, like I guess we can just ask you, like what's in your back pocket in terms of when you're in these tough situations?
I just keep putting myself in those tough situations and like force myself to, you know, like kind of harden my mind. I remember so last summer I did a 100-mile bike ride we started in Wisconsin, went through Minnesota and Iowa, and then came back to Wisconsin. And I didn't train for this at all. Like did not ride my bike once the entire summer. And it was horrible, like a horrible, like super painful experience. Didn't really like that morning, like we had breakfast and all that, and I didn't really eat. I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. Like we're just going to like gut this out and see where it goes.
Just ride 100 miles. Yeah.
And they had like aid stations with like food and all that, but like I just wasn't like properly nourished. And so like I was just like, it was tough. Like I was hitting some low points, and I'd already signed up for the marathon at the time. So I'm like, okay, if I can't complete this, like how am I going to do a marathon? And I remember being at like mile like 80 or 90, and I was just cramping. Like my leg was just like cramping up. You could visibly like see my leg like cramping up, and like the vein in my calf like tightening up.
Ooh.
And the guys who were like kind of like the aid like helpers were like, all right, like you want us to drive you back? Like it's only like 10 miles. Like you've come so far. I'm like, exactly. I've come so far, but I can't like quit right now. So like, I don't know what got in me. I just gutted it out and finished that race. I don't know. But like, there's no secret to like mental toughness. You know, mental toughness is like a muscle. Like you got to work it out, and like the more you do it, the more you can like put yourself through tough situations, right? It's no
totally
different.
agree.
It's no different than working out your bicep. Like the mind is like a muscle in itself. So
I love the word you use, harden, right? Because it's gonna get pounded, it's gonna get hurt, and it's gonna get battered, but it's gonna get stronger through that, and that's exactly what you're saying. It's gonna expand, just like you're gonna work out your biceps, make yourself look good.
Yeah, we got big brain muscles, I think. But what's crazy, dude, is I always like using visualization. Like I go to work out at Alter all the time, and I know it's gonna suck when you come around that second circuit and you're doing it again, and it's like rows or something that like you just hate, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I'll just visualize like, okay, I'm going to be at 380 watts. My legs are going to start hurting really bad at 40 seconds, and I'm going to have 20 seconds to get through this.
right.
I already know what it feels like, so I'm going to put my mind there now.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I get there again, it's like, all right, it's time. Let's
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Visualization's huge.
Visualization's huge, absolutely.
Dang, that's crazy. So you literally didn't train for a 100-mile bike ride and just did it?
Did not train. And like
What the hell?
all my
dude?
friends were doing it. Like my friends from back home were doing it. I'm like, okay, I can't let these guys show me up. Like I'm supposed to be the guy like training for a marathon. Like I got to show them like I'm in good shape. So I'm like, if they're doing it, like I got to do it. So I just literally forced myself to do it. It was terrible. Like it was.
But you're better off from it, right?
No, 100%. Like it made me way tougher. And I would say that that bike ride was just as tough as a marathon, surprisingly. Like you wouldn't think that 100 like biking would be that difficult, but like it was tough because it was like super like hilly terrain. Like it was hot. Like it was probably like 80 degrees. It was tough.
You felt like Lance Armstrong at points, just Tour de France, passing people.
How was your butt?
Yeah.
How was your butt? Because I know bike seats aren't the nicest. They aren't the floral chairs that we're sitting on.
My butt actually wasn't that bad because we had like they gave us like the biker uniforms. So
Okay.
like we had like the padding. I would say the most painful thing was probably my back.
Really?
My back and like my quads were like shot after that. So
Oh my gosh. When did you start to hit like the wall and when you were on your marathon? What mile? Like how many miles did you run before your marathon? And then I mean you never run the actual marathon before you run it, right?
No, you don't. So the longest run I did building up was 21 miles, I would say.
Wow.
That's still pretty.
And I
pretty
actually,
close.
so that was like maybe 3 weeks before the marathon, and I felt like great. Like I was like, okay, like 21 miles, like I got this.
Add 5 more.
Right.
Golden.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just that,
Dentless.
it's that simple. Like you just add 5 more and like you're there. But like when you're actually running the marathon, first of all, Twin Cities Marathon is tough as hell because all of the hills like around the St. Thomas area, like those rolling hills are right at like mile 20, like mile 19 to like 21. And it's just tough. Like it's a lot. So that's kind of where I hit the wall. Like right when you hit St. Thomas, like going down Summit, I think it's like mile like 21. And man, I was seeing like triple, like quadruple. I literally could not see straight. Like I was on the
Really?
verge of like throwing up. It was so bad.
Yeah. You said going down, more like going up, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
going.
You're hitting, what is that, Cretan, and you're going
Up
east?
Summit, right? Isn't it up Summit?
Yeah, up
And
Summit
it's just a
towards the
steady.
Capitol.
It's just
Yeah.
like walking like this.
East.
Well, it's like they're all like rolling hills, so like you're
Oh.
going up and down and like up and down, and like this is like at the worst point of the marathon, like where
Yeah.
you're already like completely taxed. So
Would you ever run like an ultra marathon, like
Yes.
100 mile?
I plan on running a 100-mile race.
Holy smokes.
Dude, oh my gosh.
So right now my plan is
Yeah, let's get into this.
so I'm planning on running the Chicago Marathon in October.
Hell yeah.
And I'm thinking I may want to do a spring marathon. I haven't signed up for one yet, but like I may just sign up like on a whim or maybe do a half marathon. We'll see. I'm not like a big fan of half marathons. I just think they're kind of lame. But I respect like
Fuck the 13.1.
so here's the thing, and like I don't mean to disrespect like the sport. Like I respect the sport, especially if you're elite. Like running, it's not easy to run a half marathon. Don't get me wrong, but like I'm not doing it to like I'm not doing it for like a time or anything. I'm doing these things to like kind of like push myself. So like
Yeah.
running a half marathon doesn't really like align with what I like
What
wanna
you're trying to do. Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking to run a half marathon this summer just because the farthest I've ever ran is 5, and I figured, why not 8 more? It's just 8 more miles. So.
Right. No, and for you that makes sense. For me, I can conceptualize running a half marathon. I can go like right now. I can literally every weekend if I wanted to can complete a marathon if I really wanted to. Like just go out and run a marathon. But like,
wow.
Right now, I'm like really just focused on trying to like push my mind and body to like the extremes and just seeing where I can go. So
yeah,
after the Chicago Marathon, I'm gonna start training for an ultra. Not sure which one I want to do, but
what are in the Rolodex? Because I'm totally unfamiliar with where you can do that.
they're everywhere. Like pretty much every state has an ultra.
What?
Some of the biggest ones are like, I don't know. David Goggins talks about like Badwater. That's like probably one of the toughest ones, or like Western states in California, which is like a crazy one. And then there's
I've heard of that one.
There's one called the Barkley Marathon. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
I saw the documentary on Netflix.
Tough. Like that one is like, I think they say it's the equivalent to climbing Everest. Like the elevation gain is like the equivalent to climbing Everest twice.
And
What?
and you don't know where you're going.
No, and yeah, like you
bring
literally
a
have
map.
a map, and
Yeah.
you have to like find like it's some weird like kind of scavenger hunt like marathon.
We'll watch the
And
documentary.
it's only,
yeah.
I think it's only like 100 miles, but because of like the elevation gain, like it's just, and like actually trying to like figure out like, you have to like find like pages in a book or like some like weird shit.
Sounds like a Zelda video game, like
I guess.
Ocarina
Yeah.
of Time.
Well, like the pages are it's like a mile marker or something.
Yeah,
like
something like that.
he rips out pages in a book, like page number 1. This is where it is, and like that's how you find out where mile number 1 is. It's bananas.
And only 15 people have completed it. So it shows you how difficult it is.
Because you have to go through 3 times or something. So there's points where you can just give up and just like, I'm not gonna run the next like circuit. Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, a normal 100-mile race, like the cutoff time is usually like 48 hours, but that one's like 60 hours. So it shows you how tough that one is.
Barclays Marathon.
And I should know this, but for your 100-mile marathons, do you like take break, or do you rest and sleep at any point?
You can. I would say most people probably would just run through the night for 100-milers, depending on the course and like the terrain. But
who's the girl who beat all the dudes by like 2 hours?
Courtney Dauwalter.
Yeah, and she slept for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh, she was on
Well,
Rogan.
she was running like, that was like a 240-mile race. That wasn't 100.
But she smoked all the dudes.
Yeah.
and
By
slept
hours.
By hours, and slept for
Yeah.
1 minute.
She's a beast. She's actually from Minnesota. She's from
All right.
Hopkins.
Let's get her
Let's
on the
get her on.
podcast.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Courtney Dauwalter.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need her.
Write
on.
that down, Sam.
She's
Oh wait,
a
where are
beast.
you at, Sam? Oh,
No,
you're
we have
just
at least this Sam.
Yeah.
All right, write that down. I should write that down.
Was she on Rogan?
Yeah, she was on Rogan.
She's
Because
on Rogan.
I remember listening to her, and literally she goes, "I slept for 1 minute, and that was the best sleep I've ever had." And I was like, "You're kidding? That's bullshit."
She's
insane.
those ultra runners, like they're some of the most, they're not crazy, but like they're just built differently. Like they have a completely different mindset. Like to be able to do that stuff, like you gotta just,
I kind of feel that way with Goggins too.
oh yeah.
Like listening to Goggins and just this crazy stories that he does on a daily basis is kind of nuts. And then when you really do your research on David Goggins and see that he's had like a couple divorces, like couple wives, like like his significant others are like, okay, like I got into this relationship like pretty motivated by your million pull-ups, but now that we're actually together, like this is insane.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what happens with the Goggins.
Yeah, I don't understand how anyone could be. I mean, he's a great person, but like,
Right.
being married to someone that intense, like all the time, he seems like he's just like wired like 24/7.
Yeah.
Got like a Coach K vibe,
Right.
but in like a total different manner. But at the same time, you can feel like the extremeness to him.
Right.
Ugh.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Have you ever, so that Dauwalter girl talks about how she was in a certain part in the forest and she started hallucinating, and then she started seeing all these different things, but she just knew that she was hallucinating and just kept going. Have you ever had a situation where like you start seeing some crazy shit?
Dude, literally mile 26, we're right by the state capital of the Twin Cities Marathon, and I could have swore that I saw Will Hilbert. I thought he was there because like all my other friends were there, and I swore I saw him in the crowd because like they were all like cheering and like
Just a big Wisconsin guy. It's hard
Yeah,
not to know
yeah.
if that's Will Hilbert.
and
or
I
not.
could have swore, like, I don't think I was hallucinating, but I swore I saw him, but he wasn't there. He wasn't. He wasn't there. And most people don't like hallucinate during like a marathon. It's just not like, unless you're like really just out of it. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really happen, but I like that was like the one instance where that happened.
Having good old Will Hilbert there motivated you to finish that last half mile, last 0.1 or whatever.
Did you come up to him after and be like, Will, thank you so much, dude. Like, you helped me get through that. I wasn't even there. That's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do any more marathons like locally? I want to come. We want to come. Just
did you have a running partner?
I run by myself.
Okay.
I mean, well, actually, Bennett Selahowski and I kind of run. He doesn't run like he won't run more than like 5 or 6 miles with me, but like he was someone that I actually reached out to just for like some help with like nutrition and like strength training. Because he actually comes from like a family of endurance runners. Like his mom, I think, qualified for the Olympic trials. His dad was like a college runner.
Oh, wow.
I think his sister is like looking to qualify for the trials as well.
That makes so much sense because
Yeah.
he has no off switch when it comes to his endurance.
The guy is he's built like a Navy SEAL, literally. He's just like ripped.
Yes.
And just like, he's someone that I've always like admired, like just in the way that he lives his life, like very like focused and like lives with like intent. And so, yeah, I reached out to him. And so like every now and then we'll like go out for like runs. I think Nick Walvogel has joined us a couple times. Newell has joined us. But really like on the daily, I don't have a running partner. It's just like me. Like, and that's kind of how I like it. I don't really like to like talk.
Music, podcast, silence.
I'm getting to the point where it's no more music.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a different experience. It's very
Okay.
different because when you're running without music, you're way more engaged and way more present and like in tune with what's going on. And like music kind of like, I don't know, you're not going to have music like in the race. So like you might as well like try to get used to.
Train your mind.
Right.
It's the stuff.
It's a lot harder, definitely. Like
I was gonna say, like, when I go on runs, I love listening to like full albums, and like that's kind of my thing. And I love you can use music as motivation at times when you're just like gassed.
Yeah.
But so just like no music, what do you do? You're just in the present moment. Got the runner's high, just ripping it.
Yo, runner's high is a hoax. That's bullshit.
It is. Okay. All right. I
It's
just
some
wanted to ask.
bullshit, dude. Whoever made that up is lying to us. I maybe have gotten that once where I
Too
just
funny.
felt that euphoria. But what I do is I just like, focus on like little things. Otherwise you just kind of get, especially if you're going long, focus on like little things. Otherwise you get overwhelmed. So like I'll focus on my breath or like my footsteps. I'm just like, or focus on my form, just anything to like take my mind off of like the distance. So I'm not focused on like how far I have to go.
Gotcha.
So
Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's insane.
I love just talking about this running stuff because like I'm nowhere near that. I just started running right when I got out of football, going from like hard, heavy weight training to go out and run, go sweat for an hour and see what you can do. And I started doing like swimming, and then I started doing biking, and then I started doing running, swimming, and biking all in workouts.
We're going for an Ironman or what?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, right?
I just started doing like the average. I called it the average guy's Ironman. I would bike like 8 or 9 miles. I'd run like 2 or 3, and then I'd go swim a mile.
Okay.
This is the average guy's triathlon.
You can swim a mile?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I didn't swim it like consistently, like down and back all mile. I would do it in spurts of like 200 meters or 100 meter, depending on how tired I was.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean that was what I was doing right when I quit, or not quit football, right when I finished football. Those were the things I did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Quick math guy here. 25 meters is one down.
Is one lap.
So 1,600 meters you had to swim.
1720 is how long.
How many times do you have to go there?
Okay, so down and
1720
is the total
mile?
distance in yardage or meters.
However the pool's set up. Okay. So how many times do you have to do it?
So down and back's 50. 4 times is 100. So 17 times 4, 68. So
68 times.
Yeah.
You had to go there and
laps.
back, or just there?
No, there. So there and
Yeah.
back would be 34.
34 times.
Yeah.
Got it.
Jeez.
34 laps. Yeah.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah.
When we did the football, like when we jumped in the pool and we did those races, running backs, D linemen, like get in your groups and then swim. I was gassed swimming just there. 25. I'm like gulping water and just the grossest form.
Yeah.
Oh, horrible. But trapping the puck and transition to back pocket core questions. So we already asked you what's in your back pocket, but the other question, our favorite question, is the average quality. And this is something you do well at times and other times not so well. At the end of the day, it's your average quality. So, Io, what would be your average quality?
Dude, my average quality is definitely like my diet. Like
Oh,
I go on stretches where I'm like super motivated and like focused on eating well. And then last night, for example, I got, the big bag of hot Cheetos, and I'm just like going to town on it. Like, so that's definitely my average quality. And I'm also like super, you know what? Can you pull out my jacket? I'm super addicted to Cliff Bars. So I actually brought you guys some Cliff Bars.
Okay.
Yo, let's munch on some Cliff Bars.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten anything
These
today.
are like my go-to for like just a quick snack before
Hell yeah.
before a run. Like if you ask like my roommates, like I go through like an entire box of those like in a day just because I'm so like obsessed with them.
Don't open it now. All right, go ahead. Chew into the mic.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
So I saw that one dude brought like some Canadian like peanut butter and like whatever to the show. So I like
all dressed Ruffles from Canada.
What were they?
They're called the flavors all dressed Ruffles. And ketchup flavored Lay's.
Ketchup flavored Lay's.
And then Kraft brand peanut butter.
All from Canada.
All from Canada. And I guess according to Tommy Lakin, these are like to die for items that you go and buy.
Not a sponsor, but up to great things. Hopefully one day a sponsor, because I'd love to be sponsored
Dude,
by Cliff.
I was literally thinking that like
Yeah.
if Cliff Bar would sponsor me one day, that would be a dream come true. Like oh my
So
God.
this is a plug to Io. Bring it this way.
No, bring camera.
Yeah. We have a marathon runner here today, Io. And hell of a dude, hell of a man. Would be a great representation of Cliff and his bars. And I believe that this pitch right here could seal the deal.
Yeah, people ask like, "Hey, what's your fuel source? How do you get things done? Like, how do you run these marathons?" It's with Cliff Bars, and I could say the same thing about Cliff Bars fueling me and my life and podcasting. So,
And
eat
not
Cliff Bars.
Not only am I fueled and ready to go and attack these marathons, but it is quite the delight to the senses.
White macadamia nut, yum.
All right,
All right, so that's how you
that's our
report
pitch,
ads.
and then we'll definitely send that to Cliff.
We'll send that to
and
Cliff
his,
himself.
and his bars.
That was good.
Thank you.
Shout out to Cliff, man.
So nutrition, do you do anything in particular? Like, is there like a ketogenic type of thing, or is it more just like get the right nutrition?
Yeah, just like making sure I'm like, eating properly after a run or like after like a lift. I'm not into any of those like diets. Like,
Neither am I.
I'm not knocking them because I guess some of them are proven to work. But me, it's just like eating right, just making sure I'm like, refueling my body properly.
Yeah,
and
amen to that.
Just not eating a bunch of junk food. I mean, it's okay to like indulge every now and then. If you don't like kind of like eat what you want, sometimes you are gonna like binge eat, or at least I do. Like if I try to like eat healthy all the time, like then I'm gonna go into like,
You're
like,
gonna relapse.
Yeah, exactly, like a fucking junkie.
Yeah, do what I did, and one day I had McDonald's for breakfast, Chick-fil-A for lunch, and Chipotle for dinner. I called it the trifecta.
I saw that. You're crazy. You are crazy. I remember you guys talking about that. That's nuts, dude.
It was so unhealthy, but it was exactly that. Like I was eating right for a little bit, and then I had a day where I didn't meal prep, and I just backlash.
Yeah. Meal prepping is key. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna eat healthy, you definitely have to like make sure that you have
Put aside time to make it.
make some food and like actually buy groceries. Otherwise, you will
Mm-hmm.
just do some crazy shit like that.
So stupid.
So here's
Mixing a
like
Coke.
Speaking of crazy like bad diet habits, when I buy jars of crunchy peanut butter, like the bigger jars, and I'll just rip through those like once every other week.
Just like plain.
Just spooning peanut butter in my mouth, and I'm editing videos and podcasts and just peanut butter.
So you're also crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
I'll mess up a Jack's Pizza every once in a while. Every Friday, throw that bad boy in. There's just something about like a $3 pizza that you throw in the oven that's just amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
amazing.
just a little cardboard in your mouth.
It does taste like cardboard. It's
Yeah.
just not. It's not very good.
My
It's
like
not good
lunches that like you talked about meal prep. My lunches are I'll grill up like 6 chicken breasts, and then I'll go and buy 6 bags of frozen veggies, and I just bring all of that to work, and then eat chicken and veggies for lunch every day.
Oh, that's the way to do it.
But then I run
Good
out of
man.
that.
Yeah, that's good, man.
And then the next week is like just absolute tomfoolery.
Yeah, we're a couple of Looney Tunes over here.
It is. It gets bad, dude. Like I'm bringing in like soup.
Bojangles.
I'm bringing in like soup and crackers one day, and then the next thing you know, I got like freaking sushi. Like I don't know.
What?
Yeah, dude. People. And then sometimes I'll run out and they'll be like, "All right, I gotta go to the gas station, dude." Then I find like the super moms like hoagies. Easy.
Wow.
Yeah. No, my body is not like my fuel source right now. I need to change it.
That's why Cliff's coming in clutch.
Yeah. Have you talked to Yoakum yet about doing like having him help you with any like of your training and stuff?
No, I haven't.
You should. He does a lot of diet stuff.
Okay.
And I mean he's kind of the full package type thing.
Yeah.
I think you'd definitely benefit.
Yeah.
And like when you start running races and getting big, sponsored by Cliff, Yokem will help you out. Also Ghost Fit. Wear some Ghost Fit material.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have any like has Josh given you any stuff?
I actually don't know Josh personally. I've never actually formally met him.
Josh.
I mean, I know who he is. Like,
Yeah.
he's a beast. Like, I saw him play a ton.
Mhm.
He's a stud, but never met him.
Dude, we'll get you some gear.
Yeah.
We'll hook you up.
Yeah.
Got a lot of things going on.
Wait, what was your average quality again? I totally
Nutrition.
forgot. Nutrition. No,
Yeah.
duh. That's what we were talking about.
Knucklehead.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah. Where's your listening?
I gotta listen better.
Yeah.
I just keep talking about my sushi.
Yeah.
Dude.
Knucklehead. Next question would be the challenge aspect. We love challenging ourselves on the Back Pocket and trying to reach into the IO brand and getting people inside your network that we might have not have thought as a podcast guest. So, do you have any recommendations as a challenge to get on our show, the Back Pocket?
A challenge.
Could be a friend that you just like, hey,
Who do you want to see on the show? essentially?
or it
okay.
could be someone like David Goggins. If you were like, I want to see this
Man.
this peak person, or it could just be someone inside that you love and you're just like, they got an awesome story.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked a little bit about my homie Sam, who lives in Seattle, who I'm actually trying to like start something with. He's like an insane, like if you guys could get him, that'd be awesome. Like but obviously he doesn't live here. He's like I said, he's on his way to become a mindfulness teacher. This is a guy who played D1 football at Penn, like crazy smart, like stupid smart. Just like super like, what's the word? Just like thoughtful guy, like one of the nicest dudes I know, and like he's super interesting. He does like crazy shit. Like I think he's going like backpacking in like Brazil or something. Like he just quit his job. Like he had an amazing job, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go like to Brazil for a few months and like travel, and like he does all this like crazy stuff. He'd be a great guest. But like,
What's his last name?
Sam Tolman.
Sam Tolman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to Sam. I love you. But then no, I have another person that I think would be super interesting that I was talking to last week. Sam Nutting, actually.
Yes.
She is a hustler. Like, you want to talk about being a hustler? She fucking hustles. Like, she was saying she works 5 jobs, and like,
Yep.
I don't know, she does like all sorts of crazy stuff. I remember we were talking one time about like, she was like interested in like helping out some brands like with their marketing, and she like hadn't like reached out yet. And next thing you know, like a month later, she's like working for them and like running like their social media and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, she'd be super interesting.
We've been trying to get her on. She wants to get her. She has a co-founder with her, correct, or something like a.
So she
co-partner?
does marketing for that like wine on wheels.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, and so we asked her to come on. She was super interested, and then she wanted to bring the co-founder on, but we only have 3 mics, so we're working through that right
Yeah,
now.
we're trying to.
We definitely want to get her on though. That's a great,
awesome challenge.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
And then the final question is a simple question. What did you learn today from midnight last night? Because your roommates barged in on you, so you did wake up. And to right now, when we're having this conversation, could be anything. What did you learn today?
I learned that you guys are really good at what you do. You guys are really good. Like, you guys take this like very seriously. And I like what you said. Like, you're not doing it for anyone besides yourself. Like, if you want to talk about like happiness, like I think true happiness comes from when you like are happy, independent of outcome. So like, you guys are like enjoying doing this regardless. Like, if there was only one person listening to this podcast, so you guys, I believe that you guys would still be doing this because like you love what you do, and it shows because you guys put a lot of like effort, and like all the content that you guys put out, like you guys are doing a great job. So like, I really like, I tell you guys this all the time. Like I really respect it. Like,
thank you so much, dude. And you especially, just always hearing that feedback from you is amazing. And with that being said, like, what content of ours have you really appreciated? I just always like to get feedback and understand like stuff that you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. Like, I always like when you have like some of the athletes on, like the guy who was like, I think he was like your Uber driver who was like the Iron Man.
Shad Ireland.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. I haven't fully listened to the one with the lady who was on America Ninja Warrior.
Mini Ninja.
Tuned in a little bit to that one.
I'm gonna check that one out. So I really like those ones where you like kind of get into the mind of people who are trying to like achieve exceptional things.
Yeah,
like
peak
yourself,
performance.
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not there yet. Like I've only run 1 marathon, but
And this is my favorite part. So you're inside the industry right now. You're evolving inside it, and you just began. When we get you on maybe in 3 years from now, and we get to tap into that creation of the evolution from there, I'm stoked.
I was literally thinking about like, damn, I would love to just like fast forward like 5 years, seeing where you guys are with this podcast, and then hopefully I'm somewhere far along my journey, and just like what that would be like. Like I was already kind of like envisioning that. Like hopefully I have a few ultras under my belt.
Right, but think about everybody for that matter. Like, yeah, the St. Thomas Football Network is very small and very, very niche, but think about everybody within just that network that's doing stuff really cool right now, doing what they love right now, but where that's going to be in 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, those are honestly
just the name plugs that we had today with Yoakum, Josh Parks, Moise. I mean, we just continue to roll through names that just on this conversation alone, Bennett, Will, all
Nick
the people,
Walvogel.
yeah, just people that we could see in the
Talk
future
about.
have a lot of just cool things. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that credit should be given to Coach Caruso. I think he instilled those values in like guys, even if you didn't like for me, I didn't finish playing football there, but like a lot of those, and I actually, what's crazy, I actually reached out to him like a couple months ago and like sent him an email, and he called me back. The dude's insane. He called me back within 10 minutes of me sending that email.
Wow.
Just like I was just saying like pretty much just thank you for like all of the like lessons that you kind of like instilled in me, and like a lot of the stuff that he said like still sticks with me today, like the idea of like the worthy path and all that stuff.
It's amazing too, because we had kind of that same realization when we had him on the podcast, and we had like this aha moment, like, oh my gosh, everything that we do on this podcast, how we've attacked every problem that we've ever had, comes from like that Caruso-ism, like you talk about it all the time, Andrew. And it's awesome, and it's transparent in a lot of people that are around us. My favorite example currently, and if you don't follow him or look at what he's doing, do it. Jackson Hole. Every single day on his Instagram story, he provides a helpful tip or what did he learn that day. Every single day without fail. And like, they're hysterical sometimes because it's Jackson Hole. You're like, this kid was an absolute knucklehead. Like, that's how I know him. But he's got like his blue light lens glasses on. He's talking about like how if you invest more money in your student loans, like $50, you'll be able to pay it off in like 2 years less time or something.
Don't have the
something
interest
intellectual.
Don't have the interest build up on it. Yeah, he got into it more.
He got into the weeds on it. But seriously, that's a guy where he was an amazing athlete. He was, this, that, and the other. Just like kind of a knucklehead, loves playing Fortnite and X, Y, and Z. And then now you see him a year later, and he's like literally making a sweet impact on people, and you could see it. Same with Yoakum too. Never really knew that guy, or never talked to him that much in college, and then he comes on this podcast and just lights it up. Incredible.
It's incredible. I'm looking forward to hearing the evolution of the brand that you're trying to start. We'll talk a little bit more about that off air, and then good luck with the next step heading to Chicago.
It's gonna be sick.
And we'll definitely stay in touch throughout all of it.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much.
I've been hanging on the west coast in my heart, right where I'm meant to from the start. It's so much warmer than the secrets you've been holding in. And don't you look at me sideways with those eyes.